You want to talk about collusion? Let me ask my Republican colleagues. If a campaign manager for a campaign is giving internal information to a Russian intelligence agent, is that collusion? Because that was the once classified information that is now public and now constitutes collusion. And there are so many other issues. One of my colleagues says, we will hold members accountable. You are the party of George Santos. Who are you holding accountable? The guy is an alleged and acknowledged liar and indicted, and you protect him every day. Don't lecture us with your projection and your defense of Donald Trump. It's pathetic, and it's beneath you, and it's beneath this body, and I yield back.
This is Democratic Congressman Daniel Goldman railing against the GOP amid their efforts to censure Congressman Adam Schiff for the crime of, you ready for this? Investigating Trump amid his efforts to collude with the Russians during the 2016 campaign. That's right, apparently the criminal activity committed by Trump is A-OK, but try to investigate their criminal activity? Wow, that's a red line for Republicans. And that was put on full display by Goldman, who invokes none other than George Santos. Republicans are all getting on their soapboxes to virtue signal about their zero-tolerance policy for inappropriate behavior, and yet they've got someone in their own ranks who was just indicted by the DOJ, and he's still there. They're still protecting him. These people aren't interested in accountability. They are interested in protecting their own under the guise of accountability. And it doesn't even pass the smell test. And by the way, I've spoken with Daniel Goldman about exactly this issue of these Republicans rallying behind the human embodiment of lies and deceit that is George Santos during a recent interview.
I think George Santos should have resigned long ago once he admitted that he deceived his voters in order to get the seat in Congress. I think he should have resigned yesterday after he was charged criminally, including for some additional lies that have now been charged in an indictment. George Santos does not belong in Congress. And I think from my perspective, as somebody who is really fighting to bolster and buoy our democratic institutions, that includes Congress, that includes the Supreme Court, that includes the FBI and the intelligence community and the State Department and so many of our executive agencies that are, for some reason, under attack by Donald Trump and those who support him. We need to be living up to the highest standards. And George Santos does not belong walking in the halls of Congress. He is a con, a fraud, and a liar, and he lied his way into his seat in Congress, and he needs to go immediately. So I don't buy into the sort of political game theory of, well, maybe it would be better to have George Santos so Democrats can make the argument, Republicans, just like I don't buy into the argument that it's better to have Donald Trump as the Republican nominee because there's a better chance that Joe Biden will win. We need to root out authoritarians, autocrats, and those who are anti-democratic from the entire political and public arena so that we can get back to being the great democracy that we are. And we need to do that every day.
And of course, the Republicans' fealty to a clown like George Santos still doesn't hold a candle to their fealty to Donald Trump. This is a party that, right this very moment, is falling over itself to defend Trump amid 71 separate charges among 2 indictments for a president that was impeached twice and has thus far cost the GOP 3 elections. The notion that this party cares at all about any principles as opposed to just blind loyalty to their leader is absurd. And even more absurd is this idea that Republicans can lecture anyone on holding people to account. And let's remember too, the point of the Republicans' effort to censure Adam Schiff is because they want to punish him for investigating the Trump campaign's collusion with Russia, as if to suggest that it didn't happen. But let's be clear, it did. We know that Paul Manafort shared polling data with the Russians. That is an instance of collusion. We know that Mike Flynn told the Russians that Trump was going to lift sanctions that were put in place after their cyber attack on the US election. That again is an instance of collusion. We know that Donald Trump himself even went on national TV and asked the Russians to hack Hillary Clinton's emails, which they attempted to do that very day. Again, an instance of collusion. So when Republicans claim that there was no collusion, I'm not exactly sure how they square that with known public evidence of exactly that. And as far as the broader Russia investigation, which Republicans are now trying to claim was completely unfounded, remember, that investigation resulted in 34 indictments, including George Papadopoulos, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates, Mike Flynn, and Michael Cohen, all of whom themselves pleaded guilty. So if the goal here is for the GOP to get retribution against the Democrats for weaponizing government on their behalf, maybe, just maybe, make sure that your own team didn't already literally admit to the crimes that they were accused of first. Just, for starters. So I have no doubt that we'll see more efforts by Republicans to rewrite the narrative to their benefit, but the facts aren't on their side. They had every opportunity to stand for something. Instead, they chose to protect the George Santoses and Donald Trumps of the party. And the Democrats seem to have no intention of letting anyone forget it. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.